I'm doing well, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this hour of English classes here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the teachers here on verbling.com, one of the English teachers. We have many different English teachers. Some of us are from the United States. I actually live in the state of Washington on the west coast of the United States. Some of the other teachers, as you may know, are also from the United States but live in different countries, and we have also some Canadians and some British teachers, so you really get a lot of options here on verbling.com for different types of classes. You get to hear different types of English accents, and you get to attend lots of different types of lessons. So this lesson for this hour is going to be a reading lesson. What I like to do for the reading class is to choose articles from the internet, from different sources, different topics, so that you guys get a lot of exposure to different subjects, different vocabulary, different ways of, well, different writing, I guess, because it's these are articles. So different ways of speaking, though, for sure. And that's what you're trying to do, is to learn English so that you can, on your own, read anything you want, hear anything you want, and understand it, and also be able to express yourself in English. So I like the reading classes because it gives us a lot of opportunities to read, speak, learn some new vocabulary words, and also some style. Okay, so today I chose an article which I put over here in the Verbling chat. If you click on the link that's in the Verbling chat, I can also put it in the Google group chat in case your Verbling chat box is not working. If you click on that link, what happens is a window opens up for you and you'll see the document, and I'm going to put it here in the screen share so that we can all be looking at it at the same time. If you had a reservation for this class, you can go ahead and use the reservation now. If you don't have a reservation, then as soon as the Join Class button is available, you can just click on the Join Class button, and that way you can join us here in the class so that you can read out loud as well, and so you can converse with us. Okay, so hi everybody. How are you, Graciela? How are you?
Hi, Lisa. I'm good, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's Florida today?
Today is good. The weather is warm. I thank Lord, no more cold.
Yeah, nice. Good. So are you going to the beach at all, or is it still not beach weather yet?
Maybe I will go to the beach Saturday.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, and Dodi, hi there.
Yes, teacher.
Do you say your name, is it Dodi or Dottie, or how do you say it?
I think all that acceptable.
Okay. And Dodi, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Philippines.
Uh-huh. Nice. And is that
Thank
where
you.
you're living in the Philippines?
No, I'm now in overseas. I'm in abroad.
In Alberta?
Yeah, abroad. I'm now in outside.
Abroad. In what country?
Somewhere in Gulf country.
In which country?
Qatar. State of Qatar.
Uh-huh. Nice. Okay. Wow, it gets really hot over there, huh?
Not too much.
Not too much. Well,
Yeah,
not right now.
Now it's around 20 degrees.
Yeah.
But sometimes we encountered up to 51 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
But it's normal for us, you know.
Yes.
That's it.
Wow. I don't think I've ever been in 51 degrees Celsius. That is really hot.
Oh, really? It's coming sometimes with humidity. By month of starting the summer, June, July, August.
Yeah.
But the
Wow.
government don't allow any workers who work in under the sun
Uh-huh.
on between 11:30 up to 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I would imagine you would have to be inside with some air conditioning maybe, and maybe you could work later in the evening or early in the morning or something.
yeah, we start sometime 5:30 a.m. up to 11 o'clock, and we
Mm.
resume 3 o'clock.
Yeah, oh,
Because 3
okay.
o'clock in the afternoon, it will come around 31, 32.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah,
More challenge.
yeah. I have never been to that part of the world, but I'm learning more and more about it with students, different students from different parts of the Middle East. And that's one of the things that's always so amazing is the temperature in the summertime. It's so hot.
Yeah, it's too hot. But
Yes.
anyway, we don't have choice. We are here,
Yeah.
so we have to accept it.
Yes. Yes. What can you do? Okay. All right. Well, Anatoly, hi. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Welcome. And Pietro, how are you doing?
Hello, fun.
Pietro, now I always remember when we had our conversation yesterday about coloring your hair, and you said you didn't have any hair to color.
Okay.
That's funny. So, and then I see your picture, so I keep remembering you for that. Okay, well, welcome today, you guys. Today's article is something kind of interesting. I'm also interested to hear what it's like in your countries. But this is something that has been going on for a long time in the United States, and it's about how parents and caregivers, so people who take care of children, and teachers and principals in schools can discipline children. So a lot of people are against being able to spank. So to spank means you hit somebody on their bottom, on their butt, with your hand or something else. So in the past, that was legal, but for many years now, in a lot of states, it has not been legal, and it's also been something that a lot of people are against. So this is what this article is about, and we're going to read it. And as you can see, I highlighted some vocabulary words that we're going to go over as we're reading. I will explain those. And if you have any questions while we're reading, then you can go ahead and just make sure your microphone is turned on, and then just ask me anytime you have a question. Okay, I will start reading, and then we'll start with Anatoly after I finish, then he will have a turn.
Okay.
So, Kansas makes us proud. Backward bill expanding spanking rights in schools dies in committee. State Rep Gail Finney's effort to protect caretakers forgot kids. So I'm going to explain this, just so we're all on the same page before we read the article. So Kansas, that's a state, makes us proud. So to make somebody proud means you are proud of them, of what they did, and what they did is they killed a bill. So backward bill. So the bill is the proposed legislation. So it's the pieces of paper that said we should do this, and if they agree, it will become a law. But right now it's just a bill, and it was described as backward because it's going back into the past in a time period when spanking was okay, and we've moved forward now, and so they're calling it a backward bill because it tried to expand spanking rights. So to expand means make it bigger, so allow more people, like in teachers, to be able to spank kids in school. But what happened is it died in committee, so it will not become a law. And this person, the state, and this is the abbreviation for representative, state rep, her name is Gail Finney. She tried supposedly to protect caretakers, but she forgot about the kids. So that's kind of what this article is about. All right, so Kyra Ragsdale, a parent in Arkansas, received a note last year from her kindergartner's school informing her that spankings were still given to students. Ragsdale was appalled. And then quotes, I had to write up my own note and made his teacher and principal sign it, stating he would not be spanked, she says. I'd be beyond livid if a teacher or principal left a bruise on my son. Okay. All right, Anatoly, why don't you go ahead and read all of that, starting
Okay.
from the title.
Okay. Kansas makes us proud. Backward bill expanding spanking rights in schools dies in committee. State Rep. Gail Finney's effort to protect caretakers forgot kids. Kira Radsdale, a parent in Arkansas, received a note last year from her kindergarten school informing her that spankings were still given to students. Ragsdale was appalled. I had to write up my own note and made his teacher and principal sign in stating he would not be spanked. She says,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be beyond livid if a teacher or principal left a bruise on my son.
Mm-hmm. Good. So this is the parent, and so she received a note. So she got a little note or a little letter from her school, her kindergartner's school, so her child, and they were informing her. So they were telling her that they were still allowed to give spankings to children. And a lot of times we use the last name. Once we've already introduced the first and the last name, then we just use the last name for the rest of the article. She was appalled. So appalled means she just couldn't believe it. She was like it's shocked or surprised. But it's a shock and a surprise, but with a touch of anger. She was really upset about it. She couldn't believe it. If you're appalled, it means like you just can't believe it and you are upset or mad about it. So she had to write up. So that's a phrasal verb, to write up. It just means to create and write her own note back to the teacher and to the principal. And she made them sign it. And what it stated, so to state means to say, so what it said in the letter or the note was that her child, her son, would not be spanked. So they did not give them her permission. She says, I'd be beyond, so beyond means more than livid, more than upset. So livid is like you are very angry. So she would be just so angry, basically, beyond livid, more than angry, more than livid, beyond livid if somebody, a teacher or a principal, left a bruise on her son. To leave a bruise means you hit somebody, and then because you hit them, now they have a bruise on their bottom or on their arm or something, and the bruise is that marking. It's the blue, blue marking that you get when you've been hurt. So she doesn't want anybody to hurt her son to the point that he will actually have a bruise on his body. Believe it or not, many states in the United States still allow teachers to administer spankings in school. Corporal punishment in schools is legal in most southern states, including Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. It's also legal in Colorado, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Wyoming. So these are all like the southern states. That's why they put it all in that one sentence. And then these are some other states in other parts of the country, not just the South. Okay. So Dodi, why don't you read all of that part right there, beginning with believe it or not.
Okay. Believe it or not, many states in the United States still allow teachers to administer spanking in school. Corporal punishment in school is legal in most southern states, including Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. It's also legal in Colorado, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Wyoming.
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 Yeah, Wyoming.
Wyoming. Oh,
Yeah, good.
difficult.
Yes, so lots of names. We have 50 states, so lots of different names around here. Okay, good. All right, so believe it or not, so you always say that to start off a phrase or something if it's incredible what you're about to tell somebody. So if you believe it or you don't, believe it or not, there are still many states that allow teachers to administer. So the reason why this is green is because it's a link. So if you wanted to click on the link, it would take you to another article about this. But administer spanking. So to administer something means to give. So they allow teachers to give spankings or to spank children. And that's what is known as corporal punishment. So corporal refers to the body. And, of course, punishment is when you are wanting to teach somebody a lesson or discipline them, or you're mad at them or something. They did something you didn't like or broke a rule. You want to punish them, but specifically corporal punishment means you actually hit them somehow. So either with your hands, or in the past there have been principals maybe that had like a little stick or a paddle or something like that. So corporal punishment used to be more popular in schools in the United States and in other countries around the world. And it is still legal in most southern states. So we went through all of those, and then these other ones, Colorado, these are more like in the western part and different middle of the country. If one Democratic state representative from Wichita, Kansas had her way, teachers, caregivers, and parents would have had the explicit right to spank their children to the point of leaving bruises. But according to the Wichita Eagle, Kansas State Rep. Gail Finney's bill died in committee today. House Bill 2699 sought to clarify the current law's open-ended language regarding the corporal punishment of children, but in doing so would have condoned a harsh definition of spanking. Parents and caregivers would have been given the legal right to strike children's clothed bottoms with an open hand up to 10 times and leave redness or even bruising. The bill would have allowed parents to extend this right to school officials, and 18-year-old students would have been included in the definition of children. That's crazy. Okay, Graciela and Haikishan.
Mm-hmm.
So starting up there. If one Democratic state... Oh.
All right.
Go for it.
If one Democrat state representative from Wichita, Kansas,
Yep.
had her way, teachers, caregivers, and the parents would have had the explicit right to spank their children to the point of leaving bruising. But according to the Wichita Eagle, Kansas State Representative Gail Finney's bill died in committee today. House Bill 2699 sought to clarify the current laws open-ended language regarding the corporal punishment of children, but in doing so would have condemned Hess's definition of spank. Parents and caregivers would have been given the legal right to strike
To
children,
strike.
to strike,
Mhm.
to strike children's clothes, clothes, clothes,
Yeah. Clothed bottoms.
clothes bottoms with an open hand up to 10 times and leave redness or even brushing. The bill would have already
Allowed.
allowed parents to extend this right to school officer and 18 years old students would have been included in their definition of children.
Good. Yes. So let's go back over this. So here, this is always funny for English learners to hear. Had. So if usually always say that if she had her way. So it's talking about a time in the past. So it basically means if she would have gotten what she wanted. So if she had it her way. So her way is the way she wanted, the law that she wanted to pass. If she had gotten her way, then these teachers and caregivers. So a caregiver is anybody who takes care of children. It could be like a teacher, but it could be a babysitter. It could be a preschool teacher. Caregivers. They would have the explicit right. So explicit means it's actually spelled out in a law. So it's not just implicit, like everybody knows you do it. It actually tells you in the law that you can do it. Even to the point of, so that means all the way to the point, so even leaving bruises. So to the point means, like, maybe if you just hit a kid a little bit, it's not going to hurt them, it's not going to bruise, but to the point means, you know, you can keep doing it all the way until it actually leaves bruises. So those marks on your skin when you get hit, or you get them on your body sometimes even when you bump your knee against the table or something like that. Again, just the bill, so that's a proposed legislation. So it does not become a law until it goes through the government and they okay it. So it died in committee. So a committee is a group of people who talk about it, and they can kill it. So they can say, no, we don't want to work on this. We do not want this to become a law. So that's a committee or a group of people. So what this bill did, this House bill, and you could click here to see the actual wording if you are interested. It's probably very long. Anyways, it sought to clarify. So to seek, so this is the past tense of to seek, to try to clarify something. When you seek to do something, it means you want to do it. So in this case, they wanted to make it clear what the language is, because what was happening in the current law, so the law that is on the books right now, is that it's very open-ended language. So it's unclear what you can or you can't do. But against, regarding the corporal punishment, it would have condoned. So if this bill would have become law, to condone means you say it's okay. So you say that it's okay to have harsh treatment of children. So a harsh definition means you can be very aggressive, you could say, to the point of hurting these children. So to strike just means to hit. So it was wanted to give parents and the caregivers, like teachers, the right to hit or to strike children on their clothed bottoms. So they have their clothes on, they don't pull down their pants, they leave their pants on, but you can hit their bottom up to 10 times so that even you could leave redness or bruising. So that's what it wanted to say that you could do. And it wanted to extend this right. To extend something means to make it relevant to these other people. So even to the school officials, they could do it. And this is the crazy part here, that even 18-year-old students could be spanked. Now my child is my oldest son is 16, and he's way taller than I am and much stronger, so I don't think I would be trying to spank him. So that's kind of ridiculous. That's why they put it in quotes, quote, children. Like, an 18-year-old student is not a child. Okay, Finney explained to the Wichita Eagle that the bill was meant, in part, to address, quotes here, children that are very defiant and they're not minding their parents. They're not minding school personnel. She said she was also concerned about unnecessary arrests and introduced the bill as at the request of McPherson Deputy County Attorney Britt Cole. It's just trying to get a definition, Finney said, because what's happening is our kids and some of our law-abiding parents are entering into DCF, the Department of Children and Families, and law enforcement custody when it could have been avoided. Okay. So Sean had a problem? Okay, Pietro, how about you read those 2 paragraphs?
Okay. Finney explained to the Witch Eagle that the bill was meant, in part, to address children that are very defiant and they are not minding their parents. They are not minding school personnel. She said she was also concerned about unnecessary arrest and introduced it to the bill of the request at McPherson Deputy County Attorney Britt Cole. It's just trying to get a definition, Finney said, because what's happening is our kids and some of our law-abiding parents are entering in the DESF, the Department of Children and Families, and the law enforcement custody when it could have been avoided.
Okay, so the Wichita Eagle, that's the newspaper. So Finney, this lady, she told, or she explained, that the bill was meant. So that's kind of the reason for it. So the reason for the bill was to address children. So it was supposed to deal with, so to try to solve a problem. So you use the word address when you want to solve a problem, to address a problem. So the problem is that some children are very defiant. So that means they don't do what the adults tell them to do. They just, the adult might say, stop yelling in the house, and the child says, shut up, I don't care what you say, and they don't do it. They're defiant, and they're not minding their parents. So to mind your parent means that you obey your parents. So they are not obeying, they are not doing what their parents want them to do, and they are also not minding school personnel. Personnel are the people who work at schools, teachers, principals, helpers, they're the adults who work at schools. So the children are not behaving. They are disobeying those people. And, she's concerned about unnecessary arrests. So some of these kids are getting into trouble and being arrested and going, to juvenile hall or something, which is for jail for kids. So she said we're just trying to get a definition. So trying to understand what does it mean to have corporal punishment. And she says that her concern about it is that some of these kids and their law-abiding parents, so parents who follow the laws, if you are law-abiding, you abide the laws, that means you obey the laws, they're entering into this DCF, so that stands for Department of Children and Families. And the reason why they're entering into this program is because their child is doing something wrong, getting into trouble, and so they're coming into law enforcement custody. So when you have custody of somebody, it means you have the say over them. So in this case, it's the police who are having the say. So they're basically saying that these kids are going to jail because of their troubles. They're getting themselves into trouble. Maybe they're breaking some laws, stealing things, something like that. So Cole told a Kansas television station that the bill basically defines a spanking along with necessary reasonable physical restraint that goes with discipline, all of which has always been legal. Behavioral experts disagree with Finney and Cole, and they stress that less corporal punishment is needed, not more. Murray Strauss, founder and co-director of the Family Research Lab and professor emeritus of sociology at the University of New Hampshire, has researched corporal punishment for 4 decades. He makes an authoritative case. Against spanking, noting that it slows cognitive development and increases antisocial and criminal behavior. Okay, Anatoly.
Okay. Start with Collie.
Yes.
Collie told a Kansas television station that the bill basically defines spanking along with necessary reasonable physical restraint that goes with discipline, all of which has always been legal. Behavioral experts disagree with Finney and Collie, and they stress that less corporal punishment is needed, not more. Murray Strauss, founder and co-director of the Family Research Lab and professor emeritus of sociology at the University of New Hampshire, has researched corporal punishment for 4 decades. He makes an authoritative case against spanking, noting that it shows cognitive development and increases antisocial and criminal behavior.
Good. Yes, so reasonable physical restraint. So reasonable means like it's not too out there, not too crazy, not too wild. It's reasonable. And physical restraint is when you stop somebody from doing something by like grabbing them. So that's physical rather than just verbally telling somebody, hey, you can't do that, stop doing that. You actually grab them and restrain them. So to restrain means to keep them from doing something. So for example, if 2 students are fighting, then maybe 2 teachers have to come in and grab each student and pull them apart. You can't just, they're not listening to you when you're saying stop fighting. You have to actually physically restrain them. So that would be a reasonable physical restraint when you're trying to protect people from hurting each other. And they're saying that that's always been legal, but that spanking goes along with that, you know, as a necessary thing. But behavioral experts, so people who study human behavior, they disagree. So to disagree means they do not agree, they do not believe the same thing. And they stress that, to stress means they emphasize, they want you to really know that actually less corporal punishment is needed, so less hitting of children, not more. Professor emeritus, we use this when we talk about a person who has been a professor for a long time. And in fact, this professor has been doing this, researching this subject, corporal punishment, for 4 decades. So that's like 40 years. A decade is 10 years. And so therefore he can make a case. So to make a case means to argue a case, and he's making an authoritative case. So he is an authority. He knows a lot. He has researched this, so people consider him an authority on this matter. So he can make an authoritative case against spanking. So he is against it. And he notes, to note means he points out that some of the problems with spanking are that it slows cognitive development. So a child is developing their brain and their ability to think. That's what cognitive means, their ability to think and process in their mind what they're learning. So hitting children, spanking them, can slow that down, and it can also increase their behavior to be antisocial, so they don't like people, and also even criminal behavior. So actually, committing a crime, breaking the rules, breaking the laws, that kind of thing. So he's arguing that it's not beneficial. Research shows that spanking corrects misbehavior, Strauss says, but it also shows that spanking does not work better than other modes of correction such as timeout, explaining, and depriving a child of privileges. While behavioral experts seldom agree on many issues, spanking is one on which they do, Strauss says. More than 100 studies have detailed these side effects of spanking. With more than 90% agreement among them, he says, there is probably no other aspect of parenting and child behavior where the results are so consistent. The American Academy of Pediatrics has opposed corporal punishment for decades. Okay. Dodi?
Yes.
Starting right here with research shows.
Okay.
You see that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Research shows that spanking corrects misbehavior, Strauss says, but it also shows that spanking does not work better than other modes of correction, such as timeout, explaining, and depriving a child of privilege. While behavior experts seldom agree on many issues, spanking is one on which they do. Strauss says more than 100 studies have detailed this side of ethic, spanking, with more than 90% agreement among them. He says there is probably no other aspect of parenting and child behavior where the results are so consistent. The American Academy of Pediatrics has opposed corporal punishment for decades.
Good. So, research shows. So, whenever you're talking about things like this, people like to go to research. So, studies that have been done, and what it shows, that's the results that you're talking about of the study. So, the results of the studies show that spanking does not work better. Okay, so yes, it does correct misbehavior. So, misbehavior just means, the child did something they weren't supposed to do. Maybe, and that's always defined differently in different households and in different school settings, in different classrooms. So the misbehavior is just generally going against a rule. And it does correct that, so, the child will stop doing that. But it doesn't work better than other modes of correction. So a mode is a strategy or a way of doing something. So there are other ways of correcting children when they make a mistake or something, and so they can use timeout, you can use explaining, or you can also deprive children of privileges. So you take away their video games, or you tell them they can't have ice cream, something like that. When you deprive a child of a privilege, it means you don't let them have something that's special to them. So you wouldn't take away something that's a basic need, like food, but maybe you wouldn't give them chocolate cake or something like that. That's a privilege, something special. And while they seldom agree, so seldom just means not very often. So a lot of times experts do not agree. There are lots of issues or things they don't agree on. Apparently, they do agree for the most part on spanking. This idea that spanking is not beneficial. And there have been more than 100 studies which have detailed. So to detail means to write out the actual problems in a lot of detail. So they talk a lot about the side effects, so the problems with spanking. And so they just don't think it's a good idea. They say that the results of these studies are very consistent. They're so consistent. It means the same thing is seen in each study, the same results. And so the American Academy of Pediatrics. Pediatrics means like pediatric physicians or doctors. They work especially with children. So there's an academy of doctors, pediatricians, and they say that corporal punishment is not good, and so therefore they oppose it. They are against corporal punishment. I do not believe this bill is a good idea. In my professional opinion, Anandi Narasimhan, a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist practicing in Los Angeles, says, many times spanking is done when the parent is experiencing anger towards the child, often resulting in a harsher action. This can result in a child growing mistrust towards that parent. Another viewpoint is that teaching a child to resolve problems by using aggression can often reinforce the idea that aggression is all right and acceptable. Okay, Graciela, and hi, Nurel.
I don't believe this bill is a good idea in my professional opinion. Anandi Narasimhan, a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry practiced in Los Angeles say, many times spanking is done when their parents is experiences anger towards the child, often resulting in a harsher action. This can result in a child growing mistrust toward that parent. Another viewpoint is that teaching a child to resolve problem by using aggression can often reinforce the idea that aggression is all right and acceptable. Acceptable.
Good. Okay, so this person who is considered a professional works with children, adolescents, which are like, you know, after the child age, adolescence is like 11, 12, 13, then they get into being teenagers. But he believes that it's not a good idea. So that's his professional opinion. And this word psychiatrist, the P is actually silent. We don't say that. We just say psychiatrist. So that's a medical doctor who practices with patients in terms of mental health and behavior, stuff like that. Okay, so many times spanking is done when the parent is angry, basically. They're angry towards or at the child. And so it's not really a good time to start hitting somebody, you know, because if you're upset, then the result could be that you are being more harsh. So harsh means more rough, you know. Maybe instead of when you're calm and you're still upset but you're calm, you're not angry, then you won't want to hit them. But, you know, parents a lot of times when they go to spank their child, they're actually angry at them for doing something wrong, and so it can be done in a very harsh or mean or tough or rough way. So their action, that action of hitting a child, can be maybe too rough, you know, too hard. And so this can result in, so that's another phrase we use, to result in means that, you know, what happens is that the child starts to mistrust their parents. So there's a growing mistrust towards that parent. So the child is beginning not to trust the parent if they keep hitting them in that way. So another viewpoint, so another way of looking at this is that also if you keep hitting your child, you're teaching that child that to resolve or to solve, you know, to deal with problems, you use aggression. Aggression is like, you know, you hit or you yell or you scream or you throw things. That's aggression. And that can often reinforce. So to reinforce something is to make it known again. So you know, the idea that aggression is okay. that it's acceptable. So this reinforces that idea. So, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. Even if the Kansas bill had been approved, the harm it may have done would be limited. In states where corporal punishment is allowed, individual school districts such as Wichita are banning the practice. Okay, Nora, why don't you read that, and then I'll have the last one for Pietro.
Even if the Kansas bill had been approved, the harm it may have done would be limited. In states where corporal punishment is allowed, individual school districts, such as Wichita, are banning the practice.
Good. So this was happening in Kansas, and so they're saying even if. So even if, oops, wrong button. Even if it had been approved. So even if they said yes, to that law, to that bill, and made it a law, the harm, so harm is like the problems that it causes something. The harm would have been limited. Because limited means it wouldn't have been a big deal, because actually, even though some states allow corporal punishment, individual school districts, so each individual school district, they get to make their own rules about what happens in their school district. So a district is made up of a bunch of different schools, like the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, in a district, in a certain area. And in fact, many school districts are banning the practice. So they do not allow spanking, even if it is legal in the state. So each school district gets to make their own laws or rules, policies about that. In Texas, which is a big spanking state, the majority of children attend schools in large cities, which ban hitting as a mode of correction, Strauss says. Unless the Kansas law required teachers to hit children, which I doubt, the main effect would be a slight slowdown in the movement away from hitting. And probably not even that, because the teachers are part of a society that is treating children more and more humanely. Okay, Pietro.
Okay. In Texas, which is a big spanking state, the majority of children attend schools in large cities, which ban hitting as a mode of correction. Strauss says, unless the Kansas law requires a teacher to hit children, which I doubt, the main effect will be a slight slowdown in the movement away from the hitting, and probably not even that, because the teachers are part of society that is treating children more and more humanly.
So, in Texas, which is a big spanking state, what that means is there are still, it's still believed that spanking is okay and it is used. That's what it means to be a big spanking state. But, in fact, a majority of the children, so most of the children attend schools that are in large cities. And in the larger cities of Texas, they already ban hitting, so hitting or spanking, as a way of correcting behavior. And so he said that even if it would have passed, it couldn't really require teachers to hit. You can't make a teacher hit somebody, so that he doubted that that would happen. But if the main effect would have been a slight, so just kind of a little bit of a slowdown in the movement away from. So there's already a movement. That means a lot of people are deciding, it's not a good thing to hit children, so we're going to move away from that. We're going to find other ways to do, correct misbehaviors. And so, because teachers are a part of our society, teachers are parents also, they're adults in society, and usually they like children, they are also treating children more and more humanely. So humanely means less aggressively. So you talk about treating people humanely, making sure they're safe, making sure they're loved. If you treat animals humanely, even if you kill them to eat them, you don't make them suffer. You don't you know, make their lives miserable. That's what it means to treat somebody or an animal humanely. Okay, you guys, we have about 10 minutes left, so I want to know what you think about this, and, you know, do you have any questions about the article, or maybe you want to tell me what it's like in your country?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, Jody?
Yes, this bill
Yes.
is, I think that's why it's not passed on the committee, because they don't allow any physical punishment or to who the children has misbehavior.
Right.
In my place, in my country, in the Philippines,
Yes.
we have a very strict rules regarding the corporal punishment. Before, we allowed them, some teacher doing punishment on physical, but now, I think 5 years ago, we didn't allow any teacher to make any punishment of their pupils or student by bullying and by physical punishment.
Okay.
So our law, they allowed the teacher only give a moral explanation or by diplomacy or parenthoods. We call it the parents and to come in the school and inform them regarding the behavior of their children.
Yeah.
But they don't have right to spank the student or pupils.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that something that the parents are happy about? They prefer that?
Yeah, they are most of them, they are happy on that, because before some cases spanking the children, that it will come big problem in our place. Because the parents want to revenge, or they don't want to see their children got home and they showed some this bruise or some little injured or scratch on his shoulder or his body part of his body. So our government, they are take full attention of that situation. So now we are not we completely avoid the corporal punishment for the student or children in institution like private school or public school.
Yeah. And so when you were a child, it was allowed, though?
What do you mean, teacher?
Yes, when you were a child, when you went to school, it was allowed that teachers could spank. Is that true?
Do you mean when?
Yeah, when you were young, when you were in school.
The time when I was young, some teacher, even some teacher, because my father and mother, they are teacher, and they did that some little teacher, especially for me, because I'm their son, so they shoot to the pupils that they are strictly doing some punishment if you violate the classroom rules. But when the bill approved in the Congress and the Senate, all the teachers are aware of that, so they cannot do anything except only like warning letter. They can maybe tell the student to make a cleanliness. That is the penalty what they are giving to the violator. Community service, like
community service. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I just looked up here, and it says in the article we read that Texas is a big spanking state, and I guess here's some statistics that say that in Texas, 51,170 students were struck by educators during this was 2005-2006, so that's been a few years now, but these were some of the statistics back then where, you know, a lot of students were still being either spanked or, you know, hit somehow. So like they mentioned in the article that we read, it's a lot of the southern states. So they have a different culture down in the South. You know, that's where slavery was for a long time. That's where there are a lot of very religious, you know, Christian religious followers that are kind of very conservative. So they still believe in using corporal punishment. So that's some of the, you can see there are some of the statistics about what they do. And that was, you know, some years ago, but I think it hasn't changed too much still for those states. Thank you, Dodie. Does anybody else want to say anything, either related to the article or related to your thoughts about this idea of corporal punishment?
I believe that this is the worst thing you can do to your kids. I mean, either way, at school or at home. I mean, spanking a kid, it's just gonna make him maybe hate you, or maybe hate the school. You know?
Yeah.
I remember when I was young, and I was in elementary school. I think it was in 9th grade, and I had my French teacher. She was Moroccan native, but she taught French, and she was very bad teacher, because you know what, she punished us even though we didn't do anything wrong, or even though we answered correctly the questions.
Yeah.
Only because she wants us to have a private tutoring with her. So I swear, since I started to have this private tutoring with her,
yeah,
she started to treat us nicely, and no more spanking. And I mean, it's very bad. We used to have these things when I was young. I have no idea right now, but as I was a child, yes, maybe all schools, private schools or public schools, did have this issue. Most of the teachers are not nice with you until they spank you, until you start to take private license with them, then they become nice to you.
Yeah.
And it's very,
That's
and there is nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I know. This is the corruption. I know, and there is nothing you can do, because when parents go talk to the principal, then the principal, because he is with the teacher, then he will tell you, well, if you don't like the system here, you can just take your kids to other schools, and that's it. Then parents, it was, I have no idea right now today what the system is, but I'm not sure that they change it.
Yeah.
Teacher, one more thing before we go.
Tell me.
Can you give us, because I want to try to figure out why like Texas, they are practicing that spanking, corporal punishment. What their reason? It is effective to control the student. If you hit the student or pupils, it is right way to discipline the children.
I don't know personally people who are doing that, so I can only guess that based on their belief system about, it may be a personal belief, it may be based on their own experience with dealing with, you know, rowdy kids or something, or being rowdy themselves. But what I notice mostly in this country is there are some cultures, you know, cultural areas where they just are much more aggressive, and they believe in, you know, punishment, you know, and not talking about things. So they see, you know, if you want to talk about things or explain, that doesn't really work. So they believe in being strict, and if you break the rules, but of course it doesn't really make sense because in reality Texas is known for a lot of corruption, so it doesn't mean that they grow up in Texas and they grow their kids and they're just, really wonderful law-abiding citizens. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it doesn't really equal, that they do this, they fix the behavior, and then their adults in that state are really wonderful, loving, nurturing adults. No, they're corrupt, they're aggressive. Not everybody. This is a wide, broad stroke statement, kind of generic statement. But people have to do whatever they think is right, and people believe certain things for different reasons, based on religion, based on culture, based on just what they think is right and what they think is wrong. So, yeah.
It means they're ignoring the professional advice.
Yes, ignore exactly.
Because the competent person who can give assessment about human for physical and like
Yes.
mental is a
Yeah.
professional expert.
A
So
lot
they're
of
ignoring that recommendation.
Yes, so there are people in this country, as there may be in other countries, who I would call them like anti-intellectual or anti-research or they just want to believe what they believe, but they don't necessarily want to listen to research or studies or professionals, so
I
it
can
doesn't convince them.
yeah. So it means I wanna take note the anti-intellectualism they are.
Yeah.
Oh, so in the future maybe if I observe somebody that is positioned like that, I can call him anti-intellectualism. No,
Yeah, you might not want to call them a name or insult them, but to try to understand that some people don't believe in research, or they don't believe in expert opinions. They just believe
yes.
in what they believe in. So, yeah, everybody's
Thank you.
different.
Thank you for that words because
Sure.
only I know anti-Muslim, anti-racism like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
anti-intellectualism is okay. I will take note.
Yeah, so I went over just a little bit, so I have to stop this class, and I'm going to start the next class, which is conversation, and we are going to be talking about this, so if anybody wants to come there, join me. I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Bye,
you.
guys. On and then just ask me anytime you have a question. Okay, I will start reading, and then we'll start with Anatoly after I finish, then he will have a turn.
Okay.
So, Kansas makes us proud. Backward bill expanding spanking rights in schools dies in committee. State Rep Gail Finney's effort to protect caretakers forgot kids. So I'm going to explain this, just so we're all on the same page before we read the article. So Kansas, that's a state, makes us proud. So to make somebody proud means you are proud of them, of what they did, and what they did is they killed a bill. So backward bill. So the bill is the proposed legislation. So it's the pieces of paper that said we should do this, and if they agree, it will become a law. But right now it's just a bill, and it was described as backward because it's going back into the past in a time period when spanking was okay, and we've moved forward now, and so they're calling it a backward bill because it tried to expand spanking rights. So to expand means make it bigger, so allow more people, like in teachers, to be able to spank kids in school. But what happened is it died in committee, so it will not become a law. And this person, the state, and this is the abbreviation for representative, state rep, her name is Gail Finney. She tried supposedly to protect caretakers, but she forgot about the kids. So that's kind of what this article is about. All right, so Kyra Ragsdale, a parent in Arkansas, received a note last Google group chat, in case your Verbling chat box is not working. If you click on that link, what happens is a window opens up for you, and you'll see the document. And I'm going to put it here in the screen share so that we can all be looking at it at the same time. If you had a reservation for this class, you can go ahead and use the reservation now. If you don't have a reservation, then as soon as the Join Class button is available, you can just click on the Join Class button, and that way you can join us here in the class so that you can read out loud as well, and so you can converse with us. Okay, so hi everybody. How are you, Graciela? How are you?
Hi, Lisa. I'm good, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's Florida today?
Today is good. The weather is warm. I thank Lord, no more cold.
Yeah, nice. Good. So are you going to the beach at all, or is it still not beach weather yet?
Maybe I will go to the beach Saturday.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, and Dodi, hi there.
Yes, teacher.
Do you say your name, is it Dodi or Dottie, or how do you say it?
I think all that acceptable.
Okay. And Dodi, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Philippines.
Uh-huh. Nice. And is that
Thank
where
you.
you're living, in the Philippines?
No, I'm now in Obstuhat, but
Yeah.
anyway, we don't have choice. We are here.
Yeah.
So we have to accept it.
Yes. Yes. What can you do? Okay. All right. Well, Anatoly, hi. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Welcome. And Pietro, how are you doing?
Hello, fun.
Pietro, now I always remember when we had our conversation yesterday about coloring your hair, and you said you didn't have any hair to color.
Okay.
That's funny. So, and then I see your picture, so I keep remembering you for that. Okay, well, welcome today, you guys. Today's article is something kind of interesting. I'm also interested to hear what it's like in your countries. But this is something that has been going on for a long time in the United States, and it's about how parents and caregivers, so people who take care of children, and teachers and principals in schools can discipline children. So a lot of people are against being able to spank. So to spank means you hit somebody on their bottom, on their butt, with your hand or something else. So in the past, that was legal, but for many years now, in a lot of states, it has not been legal, and it's also been something that a lot of people are against. So this is what this article is about, and we're going to read it. And as you can see, I highlighted some vocabulary words that we're going to go over as we're reading. I will explain those. And if you have any questions while we're reading, then you can go ahead and just make sure your microphone is turned on. I'm doing well, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this hour of English classes here on verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the teachers here on verbling.com, one of the English teachers. We have many different English teachers. Some of us are from the United States. I actually live in the state of Washington on the west coast of the United States. Some of the other teachers, as you may know, are also from the United States but live in different countries. And we have also some Canadians and some British teachers. So you really get a lot of options here on verbling.com. For different types of classes. You get to hear different types of English accents, and you get to attend lots of different types of lessons. So this lesson for this hour is going to be a reading lesson. What I like to do for the reading class is to choose articles from the internet, from different sources, different topics, so that you guys get a lot of exposure to different subjects, different vocabulary, different ways of, well, different writing, I guess, because it's these are articles. So different ways of speaking, though, for sure. And that's what you're trying to do, is to learn English so that you can, on your own, read anything you want, hear anything you want, and understand it, and also be able to express yourself in English. So I like the reading classes because it gives us a lot of opportunities to read, speak, learn some new vocabulary words, and also some style. Okay? So today I chose an article which I put over here in the Verbling chat. If you click on the link that's in the Verbling chat, I can also put it in the Google.
Versus, I'm in abroad.
In Alberta?
Yeah, abroad. I'm now in outside.
Oh, abroad. In what country?
Somewhere in Gulf country.
In which country?
Qatar. State of Qatar.
Uh-huh. Nice. Okay. Wow, it gets really hot over there, huh?
Not too much.
Not too much. Well,
yeah,
not right now.
Now it's around 20 degrees.
Yeah.
But sometimes we encountered up to 51 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
But it's normal for us, you know.
Yes.
It's,
wow. I don't think I've ever been in 51 degrees Celsius. That is really hot.
Oh, really? It's coming sometimes with humidity. By month of starting the summer, June, July, August.
Yeah. Wow.
But the government don't allow any workers who work in under the sun on between 11:30 up to 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I would imagine you would have to be inside with some air conditioning maybe, and maybe you could work later in the evening or early in the morning or something.
Yeah, we start sometime 5:30 a.m. up to 11 o'clock, and we resume 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
because
okay.
3 o'clock in the afternoon, it will come around 31, 32.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
More challenge.
Yeah. I have never been to that part of the world, but I'm learning more and more about it with students, different students from different parts of the Middle East. And that's one of the things that's always so amazing is the temperature in the summertime. So hot.
Yeah.